So you might think I'm crazy for investing in Meta right after it plummeted around 15% or so on the 25th of April. And you might be wondering, why would I do such a thing? Well, I'm going to outline a few reasons why. And obviously, in this video, I'm not giving you any financial advice. I am not saying you should or should not do anything with your money. So please do not take it that way. This is more for informational and entertainment purposes only. Please do your own research. So the reason I bought into Meta was, one, I had been looking for a reason to buy Meta stock for a while now. The problem that I was having is, look at this chart here. It's been just skyrocketing. I actually felt like I really missed out when they had a controversial thing happen. I can't remember exactly when that was. I think that was around this dip right here, maybe. But they had a dip where they had some controversial stuff going on. You know, they had Mark Zuckerberg having to testify to Congress and all of that. And I thought maybe that'd be a good time to buy back then, but I didn't. I kind of hesitated. And if you had done that, look at this type of return you would have gotten. This is actually, I believe, one of the best stocks in terms of growth over the past, year or so. And one thing I really like about Meta is I think they are really making that shift to AI, and they're not so gung-ho on the whole metaverse thing right now. I do think they could actually do well with that in the future if they can find a more practical way to make augmented reality a thing. Apple's trying to do the same thing. Apple has not had much success at augmented reality either because they have these big, bulky, Vision Pro headsets that make you look like, you're wearing a 10-pound weight on your face. So even JP Morgan, as you can see right here, has reiterated their overweight rating of Meta while dropping their price target to $480 from $535, citing the company's increasingly heavy AI investments they believe may ultimately pay off. Meta's virtual ownership of the social graph, strong competitive moat, and focus on the user experience position it to become an enduring blue chip company built for the long term. So even though in the short term, it looks like, the metaverse stuff isn't working out too well. Oh, they're kind of shifting to AI. It's not exactly the best look. I believe this aggressive approach by Zuckerberg could end up paying off long term. And that's how I like to invest. I like to buy a good company at a low price when it's discounted and keep it for the long term. One thing I think that could be a great idea in the long term, again, maybe not right now. I'm not sure augmented reality is really built for the short term right now. It's one of those things that might be a little before its time, even though, Google's tried it with, those Google lenses or whatever they were called, those glasses that were like 10 years ago. Even though Apple has kind of failed to get a lot of sales with their Vision goggles, and the VR headsets have been good for like gaming with Meta, but it hasn't really taken off. I think something like augmented reality, it could be the next like smartwatch or something like that, where everybody has these like sunglasses or regular glasses, and with their partnership with Ray-Ban, I think it could end up being something that finally looks good and is practical and isn't so bulky and weird looking all the time. So something like this could end up being something later on, which just maybe is a little before its time right now. But I think they're going in the right direction, making a sleek version and partnering with one of the most popular kind of higher end sunglasses brands out there. I also believe in Meta because they have probably more data than just about anyone outside of something like Google. In fact, as of April 23rd, 2024, Facebook has 3.065 billion monthly active users, making it the world's largest app. And the thing about them, the reason he had to testify before Congress and everything is because of the data section. And, some of the stuff with politics and stuff too. But in the AI race, Facebook getting into the AI race is such a big deal to me, in my opinion, because they're going to have more data than just about any of their competitors outside of, like I said, maybe Google. I believe, just in my opinion, I'm no expert, but when I invest in an AI company, a company that could possibly do something with AI in the future and not just be a fad, the ones that have the most data to work with, I think, will end up leading the charge in the future. Meta also owns around 94 companies with 166 or so billion in assets. They own WhatsApp, which is actually a very popular app, especially outside the US. They have Instagram, still one of the most popular ways of doing social media these days, along with Facebook, obviously, which came before that. They have many others as well. They have the Oculus VR thing, which hasn't taken off yet, but I think they could figure it out in the future, especially if they go more in the direction of kind of like they were with the Ray-Ban partnership. I also like a company that has good leadership and takes good care of its employees. I think that's a huge part of at least my process of picking a company that I think could do well in the long term. So look at Meta. Meta has a lot of awards for being one of the best places to work. As you can see, a very large list of accolades there. You have 62% approve of the CEO. Maybe could be a little better, but it's still not bad. 75% of employees recommend working here to a friend. That's a great number. 3.9 out of 5 stars, also a great number as well. You may also like to look at buy ratings. There are a lot of different buy ratings out there. One of the big ones is Robinhood. Robinhood actually has an 85% buy rating right now, 12% hold rating, and only a 3% sell rating. You may also notice that the PE ratio, which is a lot of people's biggest number that they look at when buying stocks, it's not horrible. It's 25.49 right now, according to Yahoo Finance. A lot of times, companies or investors look to get something under 20, but I've learned that PE ratios are not the end-all be-all for picking stocks. In fact, it's only one of the many indicators you should probably look at. Some of my best returns have come from investing in companies, like Nvidia, when they had a horrible PE ratio, which was probably like 60 or higher, but ended up getting me a huge return because of the potential of what they were doing. You can look at their financials as well, which over the years, I think has been pretty good. You could make the argument that, their net change in cash hasn't been that great for this quarter, but they are doing some aggressive spending towards catching up with AI. And one thing that's nice about what Mark Zuckerberg does is he can be very aggressive when it comes to acquiring companies or making sure he knows what's the future and how to capitalize on the future with what they have. And even though they only beat revenue by 0.64% when they were doing it by 2 or 3% in the previous 3 quarters, I still believe that this is going to pay off in the long term. This might not be something where, I'm not a day trader. I don't like going after companies where I have to sell it, a few days later or the same day. I like stuff that will last. I have more of the Warren Buffett approach, although I would probably tweak that a little bit differently than what he does. I like to buy and almost never sell. So if I can get a company like Meta at a 10 to 15% discount and hold it in the long term, and it could potentially be one of the top 5 or so AI stocks in the future, they could be the pioneers of finally getting AR to be a mainstream thing where everybody's wearing AR glasses. That could really pay off. And they're always going to have a stranglehold on some of the most popular social media platforms in general with over 3 billion users. And they're also going to always be a leader in online advertising because of the data that they have from those 3 billion people on Facebook and their superior Facebook advertising program. So if you look at what I have right now, so far I have a total return of around 1.04%, which is obviously not a whole lot to really talk about, but it's only been one day. And I believe in the long term, I'll be making a video about how happy I am that I actually bought Meta at this time period. And I finally got it at a decent discount. I finally got it at a point where it dropped around 10 or 15% before I was able to get it because I didn't want to buy it when it's just hitting all-time highs all the time.